Welcome to 3Con Commentaries. We're going to talk about Smackdown from March 29th, 2023. This was a let's take it easy. We already got the main event stuff all sewed up. Let's work a little bit on the mid-card, which is fine. You know, it's a mid-card episode. I just wish I didn't have to sit through it because it was not a lot occurring. So it was 2 hours of basically bleh. And I do have a huge problem, and you already know what it is. I have a huge problem with the way WrestleMania is shaping up. But we're going to talk about it. No news and notes. We'll talk about the news and notes as we go along. So, Randy Orton and Kevin Owens are defeated by Pretty Deadly, which I thought was great. Pretty Deadly winning is good. I like Pretty Deadly. A tag team should usually beat two put together guys. They got some help from Logan Paul, who was under the ring, came from under the ring, punched Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens gets pinned by one of the members of Pretty Deadly. And that was great. Then they played the replay on the screen as Randy Orton is berating Kevin Owens for losing. And Randy sees Logan Paul and then also sees Logan Paul go under the ring. So then Randy does what a good veteran would do, what the old school wrestlers would do. He asks the audience. He crawls out of the ring. He asks the audience, is he under there? And the kids in the front row is like, yeah, he's under there. He's under there. So Orton lifts it. Logan Paul's under the ring. He starts beating up Logan Paul. Then Pretty Deadly return because they owe Logan Paul for their victory. They start actually helping him beat up Randy Orton. Kevin Owens revives. He's up and they're fighting and they fight off everybody. And Logan Paul just watches Pretty Deadly get beat up, and then he leaves. So, I don't like this. I like that Pretty Deadly won. I don't know about the Pretty Deadly Logan Paul mashup. I'm not so sure about... I mean, the bad guys being friendly, or at least on the same side, that's old school right there. You know, heels used to help each other all the time for no other reason than because they're heels. Not because they were in the same faction or anything like that. So I'm okay with Pretty Deadly helping and then ultimately having their heat blown off. They won the match, but they took stunners and RKOs and just got bounced around and all that kind of stuff. I mean, them winning means nothing because they're not going anywhere. So that's unfortunate, which is why I'm kind of sitting here like, why aren't they booked for WrestleMania? Oh, yeah, we're going to say that a lot today. We're going to say that a lot today. Why is Kevin Owens and Randy Orton friends? Why are they friends? This seemed like a perfect opportunity to have Orton get pissy at Kevin Owens for losing him the match when he was the one who drug Randy Orton into the match. Of course, he could blame Logan Paul, but why are Randy Orton and Kevin Owens buddies? I don't know. They're in a triple threat match where they're going to be trying to give each other brain damage. I don't understand why they're friends. Somebody has to, I mean, they're united in their hatred of Logan Paul. Wait a minute. That makes Logan Paul the babyface because it's 2-on-1 at that point, right? So this is goofy. Typical Triple H booking. I don't like it. But I like Pretty Deadly and they won. So that's fine. I just wish they had a direction. As it sits right now, Pretty Deadly has no road, no path, no nothing to WrestleMania. They're just stuck. And you know what? Because they're barely featured, it's okay. I also like, and this is going to sound weird, I also like Pretty Deadly when they were gayer. Now they're kind of like disco, Blades of Ice kind of guys, and it's fun. But when they were in NXT and they were over the top, almost ambiguously gay, they were a lot funnier. But that's also because they put a lot of emphasis on them in NXT and NXT UK. And on the main roster, they're not given enough time to really flourish. All right, we get into the damage control stuff, which pretty much ate up most of the show. So Io Sky cut a promo in which she denied that Bayley was trying to help other people, that Bayley was really just trying to take credit for other people's successes, that Bayley is a narcissist, and that she, Io, made Bayley relevant. And she outgrew Bayley, but admitted that Bayley was at one point her friend and said she regrets that. And she hopes that after she beats her at WrestleMania that she'll never see her again. This is a sit-down promo where Io is talking to the camera, and as it wraps up, Bayley assaults Io, and we get this really extensive fight scene between the two of them, which included a pull apart. And it was fine. You know, a lot of people are thinking very highly of Io and Bayley, and a lot of the women's wrestling fans thinks that Bayley and Io should be the main event, one of the main events of WrestleMania. They obviously are delusional, clearly delusional, just clearly not in the right frame of mind. There's just no way Bayley and Io should be a main event. But the Damage Control story is one that's been going on for a long time. Apparently, somebody, I think Bayley posted online the tweets or the comments or whatever she did, the text messages that she sent to Io to form Damage Control in the first place. And of course, people were talking about, oh, Vince had Damage Control, he didn't want it, they were going to let Io leave, yada yada yada. It's like Damage Control has not made a single goddamn dollar. If anything, it's taken somebody that people like, two people that people like, Bayley and Asuka, and essentially shoved them into this thing. Now Io had always had the potential. She was really good in NXT, and bringing back Kyrie is fun, but I don't think Vince missed a lot by not wanting to do anything with Damage Control, and upon hearing it, probably thought to himself, oh my God, what a waste of time. But Triple H, because he likes Io, was probably like, oh, this is great. You get to move Io around. That's great. She can't really do good English. So we'll have Bayley there to talk English for her. And then, of course, over time, you throw Asuka in there too. But I'm fine with it now that it's broken up. It's okay. We're getting the good. I hated Damage Control, as everybody knows who followed this channel. So I wasn't a big fan of it when it was originally formed. But it's fine now, I guess. So this leads indirectly into Jade Cargill's debut. She comes out to do a little promo. It's literally nothing, where she just comes out, flexes a little bit, says that the roster is great, but none of these people are Jade Cargill. None of them are once in a lifetime talent, and that the storm has arrived. And I just immediately was like, this is not working. This is not going to be good. I thought they were going to set up something in this promo. They did not. But once I saw that Dakota Kai and Bianca were the main event, I was like, oh, I see the vision. So Dakota Kai, and then they gave it away immediately. As soon as Jade Cargill cuts her promo, Dakota Kai mentions that Jade Cargill, should mind her own business, and so should Bianca and Naomi. They should get out of Damage Control business. And I'm like, yeah, this is, I see where this is going. So later, Naomi and Bianca, they patch things up. Bianca apologizes, indirectly for being kind of pushy before and wanting Naomi there. And now Naomi's got her back, and she's got Naomi's back, and they're going to work together in tonight's big main event. And then they have this main event in which Bianca Belair defeats Dakota Kai. The match was fine. Bianca is tremendous as usual. Dakota Kai sucks as usual. And of course, Damage Control jumped Bianca after the match, to which Naomi tried to save Bianca. She got beat up too. She's outnumbered. And then Jade Cargill makes the superhero save, where she beats up all the small Joshi wrestlers pretty much by herself. And they have the epic standoff that you see everybody posting all over the place, where Jade is there with Bianca and Naomi. And it was a great visual. Jade Cargill taking her very sweet time, get into the ring, and actually let, a couple of extra kicks and stomps happen. It's almost like when Jeff Hardy took time to do his little dance or when Rhea Ripley in NXT had to do her little entrance thing. It was like, oh, okay. You're a babyface, by the way. You're supposed to have some kind of sense of urgency about this thing. But the crowd immediately got behind Jade. Jade was clearly a babyface from her entrance, because she was stopping to shake hands with kids and all this kind of stuff. So they're going with babyface Jade initially, which is interesting, because I know it's harder to be a babyface than it is to be a heel. So starting her off as a babyface is actually putting her in a hole, But they're going to try this. I guess they figure putting her with Bianca and Naomi, who are two ultimate baby faces, then it might actually work out. And this is great. After the show rather, Nick Aldis makes the match official that it's going to be Damage Control, which is Kabuki Warriors and Dakota Kai versus Naomi, Bianca Belair, and Jade Cargill at WrestleMania. So Jade Cargill, who is their new signing, everybody cannot. Well, it's not new because she's been there for 7 months, but a lot of people are comparing the Jade to the Mercedes Sasha Banks thing from AEW and how people loved what Jade was doing and they hated what Mercedes was doing and what's the difference. And I guess there really isn't much difference. Jade is actually being introduced with somebody else who's a top star, which is Bianca, and the top female faction, which is Damage Control. And she's involved with them. So it's not quite you starting Jade at the top where she's working with, Rhea Ripley or Becky Lynch or somebody like that, which is what I think a lot of people had in mind, is that, Jade would wrestle Bianca at WrestleMania or she would wrestle Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, because they teased those things. They teased her and Charlotte at WrestleMania. They did those pose downs, those stare downs or whatever. And she ended up in a 6-woman tag. But I think that if they're trying to make the work, quote unquote, the issue is that Jade is just not up to par in the ring, then putting her in a 6-woman tag is the best way to cover it. Because Naomi knows what she's doing. Bianca knows what she's doing. Now, Naomi's obviously going to be the babyface in peril in this scenario, right? She's got 2 superheroes in the corner. She's obviously going to be the one in the match taking most of the beating. Unfortunately, when you look at Damage Control, all of these women are petite, and you got 2 Amazons in the other side as the baby faces, when it really should be reversed. But it's fine, I think as Jade Cargill's career is basically just getting started in WWE, she's being brought in and being positioned, and they're talking about her as if she's a star, but they're going to slowly work her in and not smash her over, which is what Vince would probably do. Vince would probably have brought Jade in and smashed her over immediately. She probably would have won the Royal Rumble, and she'd be in this position wrestling Rhea Ripley or something like that. Because, Vince believes if he really believes in somebody, he will smash them over like he did with Roman, like he did with Bianca, like he did with John Cena. And it has various degrees of success. But I think, Triple H wants to have a little bit more of a measured approach, which left Jade being in, the Performance Center for 6 months after her signing, when in reality, she probably should not have been in there that long. It was a little long, but I guess they were trying to figure out her WrestleMania plans with, the injuries and other things that were occurring at the same time. But I can just tell that Vince would have done different things with Jade Cargill. And he would have definitely probably introduced her as a babyface, because he probably would have saw the potential there. But he also probably would have saw her as evil Bianca, which is what most people look at that as. Like, say, oh, we got Bianca Belair and then we got evil Bianca Belair, which is, again, how most people are looking at things. Another thing that people notice is that Jade's, her abs were kind of not abbing like they usually were. I think it might have had to do with the suit that she was wearing more so than how she actually looks. Also, she's been, I would imagine that by WrestleMania's in 2 weeks, so she's not going to get her 8-pack back before that time. But I think that performing for wrestling and performing for pictures and photo shoots and stuff like that, she still looks great, but she's not nearly as cut as Bianca. Bianca is just shredded. I mean, she's out there like Girl Lashley. All right. So it's not good. It's crazy. All right. So, but Jade was that shredded when she was in AEW. I mean, she was amazing, but she's still amazing. She's still big as hell and muscular, and her moves hasn't changed that much. She still does big boot. She does basically her other moves. I'm very interested in what the extent of her training is and how long she was in the Performance Center and what she learned that was different. But they'll unveil all of that in WrestleMania, which I'm sure is going to be Naomi gets beat up most of the match. She takes all the bumps. Bianca comes in, probably gets spits on her face. She's going to take some bumps. And then Jade comes in like the superhero at the end, bumps everybody, grabs Kyrie, drops her on her face, pins her, and that's it. I would imagine that's what's going to happen in that match. And that's fine. But this will be a good way of getting Jade on the stage, getting Jade to win, showing Jade off, but you're not giving too much, and she's not going to be exposed in terms of, hey, this girl's really not that good. But again, the work ethic, the work part, the in-ring part is the part that is, not that important. And I know people hate to hear that, but it's not. It's literally other things that are, the sizzle is far more interesting than the steak most of the time. But so this is the plan for Jade Cargill. I hate that they did this because the issue here is that she's been sitting on the shelf all this time, and the only thing you got for her is a 6-woman tag match. Now, it makes the match interesting because it's her in-ring debut outside of the Royal Rumble. But it's also kind of like she was in the Royal Rumble and then she just did nothing for 2 months, almost 3 months. She didn't do anything. And now she's back, and they were supposed to be doing the hottest free agent thing, but she only showed up sporadically. And then they said weeks ago that she was signed to SmackDown, and now she's only really coming and making her debut now. And so there's a lot of uninteresting storytelling there. And I think if you wanted to compare it to Mercedes, it's almost exactly the same thing. Except for Jade was introduced at a slightly higher level. Well, Mercedes was brought in to feud with Julia Hart and Sky Blue and Willow Nightingale, where everybody's kind of like, why? Like the upper echelon women of AEW are like Toni Storm, Thunder Rosa, Deonna Purrazzo. But, she's not involved in none of them. You could say in WWE, the upper echelon women would be like Bianca, Becky, Rhea. And Becky and Rhea are doing their thing on Raw. Right up under them, however, is like Io and Bianca. She's right involved with them. So she's in the B spot where, in Mercedes is more in the B minus tier, because AEW's women's division is so terrible. There really is only 3 women that are any good that you can get anything out of. And unless you want Mercedes to beat Thunder Rosa almost immediately, you don't have much of a choice except for to introduce her either at the very top or somewhere in the middle. Where Jade, there's a little bit more room for you to move around because there's 2 brands and then there's other people floating around. But, it's unfortunate. Also, and I want to throw this in there too, Bianca being thrown in a 6-woman tag. I'm not a fan of that. But again, Triple H has never thought that much of Bianca. It's just unfortunate that this is the situation that we're in right now. And, but that leaves Tiffany Stratton in a really bad place. So they did a vignette for Tiffany Stratton, and I want to talk about this, even though it's out of order, where after she's been on TV for 2 months and involved with the Elimination Chamber and the Royal Rumble, and they called her up who knows how long ago, they're now starting to do vignettes because they were building her to wrestle Bianca at WrestleMania or on SmackDown or something to that effect, and then it never happened. They also had a Tiffany Stratton run in with Jade Cargill, and that didn't go anywhere. And you were kind of like, okay, what's the goal here? What's the plan here? And now the plan is Tiffany is left off the show completely, while Jade and Bianca are thrown in 6-woman tag match. Now, the 6-woman tag match at least makes sense, but why did you spend so much time building up to Tiffany against Bianca only to just completely hand wave it and have Tiffany, who is one of the most over talents you have, if you look at Elimination Chamber, and she's not booked for WrestleMania at all? Like, at all. She's not going to do anything. As of right now, she's in the same position as Isla Dawn and Alba Fire, who are there trying to reimagine all of a sudden. They changed Isla Dawn completely. She's no longer a witch anymore. She's no different than Chelsea Green. So now we're sitting in a situation where, what was the purpose of bringing Tiffany Stratton to the main roster? To do what? So that you could book backwards. You put her over. She's beating these people. She beat Naomi, and Naomi's going to have a WrestleMania match, and Tiffany Stratton isn't. Why? And then if she were going to have a WrestleMania match, what could it possibly be? Except for like a Battle Royal or something. because you only got a week to put this thing together. So she's not going to be on the card. That sucks. It sucks. And it shows that there was no thought put into this, and that maybe the Jade Cargill introduction was last minute into, this damage control story, because clearly it looked like it was going to be a regular tag match, Naomi and Bianca versus damage control of the Kabuki Warriors, and then they just decided to make it a 6-woman tag. So, because I guess they didn't want to put the belts on Naomi and Bianca. All right, fine. But I'm just floored by you having Tiffany Stratton and Brian Breaker, who is also not on this show, by the way. He was not featured on this show at all. But you brought Tiffany Stratton and Brian Breaker up to the main roster and going to have them both sitting at home for WrestleMania. Why? Why? Whatever. Now, my fury at Tiffany Stratton and Brian Breaker not being featured at WrestleMania, it is compounded by the fact that Lashley is also apparently not going to be at WrestleMania, because they have no match for Lashley at WrestleMania, unless they create another 6-man tag or something where, Lashley and the Street Profits are going to wrestle. Lashley and the Street Profits are both going to be left off the card. Now, Street Profits lost to Austin Theory and Grayson Waller in that tag team qualifying thing that they have. And Cross attacked Lashley backstage. And this was a distraction for Dawkins, who left his partner, which is always a heel move, by the way. It's not a babyface move to run off and leave your tag team partner. Lashley's a big dude. If he got beat up, then that's just too bad. And Montez Ford ends up getting pinned. So Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are going to be at WrestleMania, which is fine. Austin Theory went from wrestling John Cena to being shoved in a 8-man ladder match, or what is it? 12-man ladder match? What is it? 6 teams? However many teams. So they diminished his star power. They diminished Bianca. And, it's unfortunate. Highly unfortunate. But the Street Profits are not on the show at all. Despite being one of the most over tag teams in the company, they're not featured at all. Unless they're going to get thrown on the SmackDown before WrestleMania or into some throwaway match that's going to be, a popcorn break. It's really unfortunate for them. Also, in the other tag team qualifier, you got your Shrimps, your Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate, defeated Berto and Angel of Legado del Fantasma. Now, they actually gave Berto and Angel an out. They got beat up earlier during the Legado del Fantasma angle, where Santos Escobar teamed up with Dominic Mysterio, where they collectively says that Dom was right and that Ray turns his back on everybody who loves him. He's a deadbeat. He's good for nothing, and Ray shows up, challenges them to a tag team match. And instead of picking Carlito as a partner, he picks the newest member of the LWO, who is Dragon Lee. Now, Dragon Lee, they called up from NXT prematurely. He has a match at WrestleMania. How's that? How about that? Dragon Lee, who does nothing but lose, by the way, because it's highly unfortunate for him that he's being put in a position to get beat up pretty much every week. But he's being groomed as being Rey Mysterio Jr., and he's going to be Rey Mysterio's partner against Dominic and Santos Escobar at WrestleMania. That's fine. I would still prefer it to be mask versus hair. And I'm really kind of like, we need to do the mask versus hair thing. But they won't do it. I guess they don't want to shave Santos's hair because he's handsome. But anyway, they ended up with a brawl, and Legado del Fantasma got beat up in that brawl. So they ended up losing to the English Shrimps. So for those of you who are keeping score, Pete Dunne has a WrestleMania match. Tyler Bate has a WrestleMania match. Tiffany Stratton does not. Brian Breaker does not. Bobby Lashley does not. The Street Profits do not. And we're sitting here saying, you've managed to get Johnny Gargano on WrestleMania. You've managed to get Pete Dunne there. But when it comes to, and I haven't even mentioned like Karrion Kross, who also is not at the show. Why is this? I don't I'm floored by who the people Triple H thinks needs to be featured on WrestleMania versus the people he decided not to feature. I don't know. And he's continuing with the Judgment Day stuff, as Dominic didn't tell anybody, even though they were there. They're backstage at SmackDown, but didn't know Dominic was going to be involved with Santos Escobar, even though he was involved with Santos Escobar last week. Apparently, he didn't clear this with Rhea and Damian Priest. Why would he need to do that? Damian Priest is thrown into a 6-man, that damn ladder match. I keep saying that 6-man. It's like it's 6 teams. The most ineffective Money in the Bank winner of all time. But that's mostly due to Triple H, again, booking. It's highly irregular that we got what we got going on here. They're still doing a schism between Damian Priest and Rhea Ripley as well. So they're still doing that. Who has the bigger dick, Damian Priest or Rhea Ripley? The answer is Rhea Ripley, by the way. And I don't think anybody cares about that anymore. Judgment Day has, again, this off and on stuff that they're turning the stories on and off. I don't know why they're doing that. I guess you're trying to make it stretch, but at this point, everybody should be focused on what they're doing, which I guess is what Damian Priest is talking about, is that everybody should be focused on what, winning their matches and how important this could be for Judgment Day. But at the same time, I'm like, well, they've been teasing a Judgment Day breakup for 6 months, 7 months. They started a Judgment Day breakup with Finn Balor being obsessed with the world title. Now he's not obsessed with the world title anymore. He doesn't even care. And Damian Priest was obsessed with the world title, and now he doesn't care. And we're just kind of like, oh, okay, so we're just gonna do things and then stop. And they blame Vince for all this stuff, right? They blame Vince for all the stop-start pushes and all the stop-start storytelling and, dropped storylines and all this kind of stuff. But the continuity errors, that's Vince's fault. But look at how much of that shit they got going on in Triple H's, WWE. They would start things, have things going for weeks, and then it just stops. And there's no explanation for it. I mentioned quite a few of these things already. Because we were told that Triple H was going to stop calling up talent with no plan. What do you mean? Dragon Lee didn't have a plan in forever. Tiffany Stratton doesn't have a plan. Jade Cargill didn't have a plan. And then Braun Breaker doesn't have a plan. We're going to stop calling up talent with no plan. Huh? That's all. This is Vince's fault. You blame Vince for everything, but the shit never stopped. Okay? It never stopped. So, it wasn't Vince's fault, clearly. So can't blame Vince. Can't blame the old man. You got to take the L on this one. The last thing we got is AJ Styles. AJ Styles wanted LA Knight to be there, but Nick Aldis says he didn't want LA Knight there. So AJ Styles goes to the ring, blamed the fans for LA Knight coming to his house, said that WrestleMania, he's going to expose him as the overachieving, under-talented piece of trash that he is, and if he was here right now, he'd kick his ass. So then he believes LA Knight is there, however, and says, where is he? Starts challenging him to come out. Some guy jumps the barricade. AJ Styles is very paranoid, jumps out of the ring. He's going to hit the guy and unmask him, and it's some rando. He's just a random dude. Just random dude X. And meanwhile, hugely jacked security guard that's clearly LA Knight is standing right behind AJ Styles, and they fight, and LA Knight beats him up and all that. Then cuts the promo about AJ Styles being able to run, but at WrestleMania he's going to learn whose game it is. There was a lot of people, and look, I didn't hate this. AJ Styles and LA Knight is a perfectly serviceable mid-card match. AJ Styles is definitely can definitely do good in this match, and LA Knight is tremendous. Now, there's two things. One is the note that AJ Styles might be changing his theme song for WrestleMania, because he actually says that he doesn't think that his current theme fits his new character. I'm dreading that they're going to change his theme and ruin the push and ruin the pop at WrestleMania. WrestleMania is not the place to debut the new theme. Because if it sucks, and it 99% chance that it will, everybody's going to be pissed. But if it's good, then maybe we'll get lucky and it's good, but I don't think so. I don't think so. But a lot of people have been talking about LA Knight. And that LA Knight was far more interesting, far more over before The Rock came back. And then everybody realized how much of a ripoff he was. And I think that's unfair. I think what happened is after they booked LA Knight to lose to Roman Reigns, he diminished in interest. A lot of people wanted him to win, but that was never going to actually happen. But they put him on the back burner, even though he was, of course, also obsessed with the title. But they actually did a good detour, as they had AJ Styles cost him the title. Now he's off to fight AJ, but he's still going to, make that end round back to a world championship eventually. But I don't look at it from the perspective of The Rock came back and exposed how much of a knockoff LA Knight is. Everybody already knew that he was kind of a cover band. Let's put it like that. That he took elements from The Rock. Everybody knew that. So it wasn't to me that they exposed him. It was just kind of like Triple H lost interest. He had to do something because he wasn't going to put the belt on him. But the guy was so hot, he had to do something with him. So he put him in a big main event. I'm pretty sure it did well. It was a good match. But Roman had to go over. And now what do you do with LA Knight? You can't just throw him in the Andre Memorial Battle Royal. That's for guys that beat John Cena, like, Solo Sikoa, who's going to lose to Jey Uso next week, because that must happen. So it's just unfortunate that LA Knight is in this position. So next week, they've announced already on the Go Home show to WrestleMania, Zelina Vega versus Elektra Lopez. Okay. And the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is also next week. I'm going to guess Brian Breaker is going to win the Andre Memorial Battle Royal. That's what I'm going to guess. That sucks. He should be on the show. If he's going to win the Andre Memorial Battle Royal, it should be at WrestleMania. And that's why I think the Battle Royal should have been at WrestleMania anyway. And it's fine if you want to say, look, we're going to put over some really weird characters in this Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. We're going to have, Jinder Mahal win or something. But when Jey Uso won, that probably should have been at WrestleMania. And if Brian Breaker is going to win the Andre Memorial Battle Royal, it should be at WrestleMania, where the biggest spotlight possible is. You may say, well, more people are going to watch SmackDown and watch WrestleMania. I doubt it. I doubt it. The Rock is wrestling at WrestleMania Night 1. I doubt more people are going to watch, SmackDown. But, it's on network television. It's not a terrible push for him, but it's just more nothing, just more matches. He's going to win a match. Okay, great. What's the story of this? There's no story. He's going to win a match. They wasted Randy Orton by throwing him in a triple threat match. Basically, he was tacked on. Or you could just say, actually, it's more Kevin Owens was tacked on because he had nothing to do for WrestleMania. Lashley doesn't have anything. Brian Breaker doesn't have anything. Tiffany Stratton doesn't have anything. The Street Profits don't have anything. Karrion Kross doesn't have anything. But you know who makes it comfortably on the card? Tyler Bate, Pete Dunne. And don't forget Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa. Specifically, Johnny Gargano. So when you look at the large swath of people who are not talented enough to make it to WrestleMania, you're not good enough, pal. Johnny Gargano's there. Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, all of which you could just interchangeably do anything with, and they're going to make it on the card because they're good wrestlers. Despite being 5'6" and worth nothing collectively, they made it on the show. But Lashley, we'll throw you in there somewhere, brother, at the very last minute. This sucks. Tiffany Stratton, oh yeah, you did a great job. Too bad you're going to sit at home and watch because Johnny Gargano must have his time in the sun. This is ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. It's truly the worst of the all worlds. But at least we got The Rock. At least we got Roman. At least we got Cody. At least we got some stars. We got Seth Rollins too, I guess. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.